So, first time I ever done this. So, it's been reiterated. Kelly called me, and I didn't initially answer the phone, and I thought it was a dude. And, but I have everybody that's ever paid me. If your number didn't change, it's still there. Now that was from July of '09. So I just had Kelly in the phone, and so I think I was actually at the gym when she called, and so I called her back, called him back. And so when I called back on the frequency, I said, then she started saying, "You don't remember me, Ty?" You know how energetic she is. I was like, "Nah," And so while we were talking, I guess you all know this on Facebook. Most people, if your phone number is associated with your Facebook, so while I was talking to her, I pulled it up. I said, "I don't know her," like that. I don't forget pretty faces on top of that. So anyway, so we talked, and she just started telling me some of the stuff she was doing. She called about a house in Birmingham, and I was actually sitting in a parking lot waiting on one of the guys that I guess do some work for me on a daily basis to hold signs that say we got houses. And so I was in the area where the house was located, and so it took him a little longer than what I anticipated. I told him I would look at it later on that day, but because he was late, so I went ahead and looked at it. But long story short, we started talking, and I just went into a diatribe about commercial real estate, and she was like, "Wow, She didn't really get it at first, and then I said a few more things. She said, "Oh, okay." She said, "Now I get what you're saying, but I would like to know more." So she said, "Would you come?" Well, she started telling me about a house jerk or whatever. And so she asked me would I come to speak to a group, and so I said, "Yeah, I'll do that." I've never done something like that, and let's see how it goes. All right. So anyway, so I'm here. So I guess everybody have heard of me or whatever that means. And I'm just a regular dude. Was fortunate enough to come into some information back in about around this time, back in 2002, just by accident. And I ain't getting that part of it yet, but I'll explain that. But it's real estate, man. And, she didn't ask me why I got in real estate or whatever. I said, "You gonna ask me?" She asked everybody to that. And so I'm an entrepreneur first. And so for me, it was just another thing to do. I didn't know if it would work or not or whatever. It sounded good, you know what I'm saying? So the reason I got into real estate, number one, because I'm an entrepreneur and I look for opportunities that, fit either my person. It took me a minute to figure this out, my personality, because I am an introvert. I know it may not seem like seeing on the video, it's just me sitting there, with those cameras that you see right there. And so I can just tell you what I know, so that's not difficult to do. But to make money is more for me I guess it's still the same thing as freedom, or some form of financial freedom, but for me, it's to have options in the sense that if I don't do something, I don't want it to be for the lack of money that I don't do it. You know what I'm saying? So that ain't everything. Just some things. So, but I can't control some things. But anyway, so what we're going to talk about, and I appreciate everybody that came out. I'm real overwhelmed that people think enough of what I have to say to even show up and sit here and listen to me. But a lot of levels of real estate. So I'm going to focus on how to flip apartments with no cash or credit. Everybody here, I'm sure, is familiar with the wholesale housing game. It's every Tom, Dick, and Tyrone is on the internet talking about it or whatever. So when I started to do videos on YouTube, it's a hobby for me. Don't get me wrong, I make money from it now. Because when Kelly signed up for it, was $100 or whatever. And I actually sit down with her and went through the information. Now it costs more than that now. But back then, it was just, the internet is a tool that evens the playing field no matter who you are, or it can if you use it correctly, whatever. So when I started doing videos, I took myself back to when I started, and the thing is that most people And I'm not hating on whatever someone's got going on out there, some of the other outfits. I'm sure some of y'all have been to seminars paid or whatever, or not paid or whatever. But I took myself back to thinking, yeah, it sounds good. And you tell me how much money you made, but how did you make the money? And so whenever I try to do something, and I'm not going to invent anything, I'm going to normally just take something that already exists and try to put my twist on it to be different than what's already out there. So I said, oh, you know what? This it's a little hobby of mine, internet marketing or whatever. I got knowledge about real estate, so I'm just going to give the information away, right? Because I know nobody's doing this. So that's why it went from 9 years ago to what you see now with all the videos on my channel. Is just I'm just spilling my gut. And so whatever comes from it, I get people sending me texts all the time with checks saying thank you. I've never even talked to them before because they, just took the videos that I have and ran with them, but everybody retain information different. Some people can take those videos and put them into play, never speak to me, then others want step-by-step coaching directly from me. And it's just me, you call that 205-492-3425, I'm going to answer the phone. But you're here to talk about how to flip apartments. So just a simple disclaimer, you're not going to make any money if you don't put in the work. Nothing is guaranteed, but most people know that, so I have to say that or whatever. So my goal here tonight, if you don't know anything about real estate or this is your first introduction to wholesaling or flipping apartments, my goal here is to just change your entire mindset on how you approach this. All right, now, most of y'all know what wholesaling is. My, definition that I took from somewhere else and added my own verbiage to it. Real estate wholesaling is similar to flipping, except that the time frame is much shorter and no repairs are made to the home before the wholesaler sells it. A real estate wholesaler contracts with a home seller, markets the home to his potential buyers, and then assigns the contract to a buyer. Most of y'all understand it. All right, an example of that, and I'm going to get to, because I assume that most of y'all know, but for the sake of what we're doing here, I just want to go through this. But all right, here's an example: $100,000 profit and exit condition. That's what we call ARV. That simply means what will the house appraised for in excellent condition. All right, so you get under contract with a seller, and what their motivation to sell. And even talking about apartments, we'll get into some of that. But whatever their motivation is to sell is a benefit or to you because that asset they don't deem as an actual asset anymore. They deem it as a problem, and you're the problem solver. So for whatever reason, you get that property for $30,000. You market to cash buyers or to buyers just in general for $45,000. Comes back, a buyer says, hey, they go out and take a look at the problem and say, hey, I can't do 45, but I'll do 41. So once you set up the close, you go to close, the seller gets that $30,000, you get the $11,000, which she goes to the next slide, and the buyer gets obviously the house. So that's basically a wholesale transaction. All right, now you ask yourself, is this something you should be doing? For me, yeah, I think that's a great entry point to real estate because most people, you see the shows and you see, hey, they buy a house for X number of dollars, then they do the rehab and then they flip it and they make X number of dollars. A lot of ways to make money, and that's fine. I look at it from my standpoint, just more or less to fit my personality, is the return on investment. All right, you spend, we're just some easy numbers. You spend on a rehab, whether it's your own money or if you get hard money, property you buy for $60,000, you're all in $60,000, and we'll just say you flip it for $90,000. That's a $30,000 payday. But if you wholesaled it, put it under contract for $10 and made $10,000, who has the higher return on investment and lower risk? All right. Whereas that work with houses, that can also work with apartments. I'm not telling you not to flip if you want to do that or whatever. I'm just telling you the reason why some people frown on wholesale. I can't understand it because you should probably always be doing that because most people can't take on all the deals, and we have them anyway. And so if you have a really good marketing funnel going for lead generation, you should still be wholesaling those properties out. You know what I'm saying? Because some people you can only take on so much or whatever. So is this something you should be doing? In my mind, yes. I think everyone should start out wholesaling because it teaches you, number one, how to understand how to find deals, to know what is a great deal, and that comes from negotiations, and then being able to, whatever you want to do, wholesale it, or we have fix and flip or whatever. But you won't ever lose that mindset. Plus, it allows you to learn the business, but at the same time make money. And even if you make mistakes, it doesn't put you out of business. You know, what I generally say is that you may get embarrassed by talking to a seller or buyer and get some egg on your face. The egg on your face is free. You know what I'm saying? So it's just so low risk. You know, normally you're only going to have a few $100s at risk, and that just comes from marketing. So, you know, it's hard for me to get beyond that. You know what I'm saying? That's probably why I haven't progressed the way I should, because of my lack of organization. I wouldn't say I'm a procrastinator. I get a lot of stuff done, but my lack of organization, not really want to deal with a lot of people or whatever, you know, it just fits so well because I'm in a deal, out of a deal, I don't have to worry about it. But I've done it all. I've done rentals, I've done lease options. I'm not telling anyone not to do it. It just doesn't fit me. I'm too soft in the sense that I'm going to collect my rent or something, they give me a soft story, I'm believing it. You know what I'm saying? And so that doesn't fit me. Now, you can put a property manager in place, well, but you still got to manage them or whatever. I'm going to have to get back in it because that's the way you build true wealth. But the purpose of this is generating cash, and then you go to the next level and do whatever you want to do. So how I got started, all right? I don't know if you're all familiar with this story, so for the sake of what we're doing here, I'm going to tell it, all right? Again, I'm an entrepreneur first. I tried a lot of different things. I'm not one of these people that grew up and was selling lemonade, you know, when I was 12 years old, or newspapers, door to door, whatever. All I wanted to do, the neighborhood I grew up was on dirt roads. The only thing I wanted to do was play basketball and chase girls. That's the only thing we knew how to do. All right, now, why I wanted to even go to college is because my brother at 14 years old took my cousin, which is one of my best friends, to spend a weekend with him on a college campus, and one of his female friends tried to hit on me, right? But she was just playing, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't know that. That's why I wanted to go to college. Because I thought, you know what I'm saying, I could meet her again or whatever. So anyway, ended up at UAB, and I don't know where. I did like most people think you're supposed to go to college, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I wouldn't give anything for the people I met and how it helped me grow up as a man. But as far as what I learned, I couldn't tell you anything. But I don't know at what point I was like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I don't know where it came from. So I knew I wanted to finish college just for the simple fact of putting a smile on my mom's face, but I could have quit. But I knew that was the path I was going to take, and nothing was going to prevent me from doing that. Now, when I was in college, I worked 3 or 4 jobs at a time, you know, to make it happen or whatever. So, but I had this brilliant idea that and Kelly, she can laugh because she does this now, and we're going to talk about it more. But I had this brilliant idea. I was going to take my student loan money. I got a car dealer, an auto dealer's license, and I was going to become a millionaire selling used cars. And I was going to have a story to tell that I used my student loan money to do that with. And so the problem with that is that when you go to those car auctions, they make those cars look so new. I don't care what year it is, that you can eat off the engine and it'll be a piece of junk. So if you're not mechanically inclined, you would get your hat handed to you. So it only took me probably buying about 4 or 5 cars, before I realized that's not going to happen, right? So that was like in, I don't know what year that, maybe 92, 93. So fast forward to 95, and we went to Daytona Beach weekend. My brother, the cousin I was just talking about, one of my other cousins, one of my brother's friends, and we met one of my brother's friends there. He was from Daytona. He had started a mobile car wash, and so he told me he had made 6 figures, you know, which that's still a lot of money, but it really sounded like a lot of money back in 1995. And so I couldn't wait till we got back in Birmingham. You know, I still had the student loan money. So I bought me a baby blue passenger van. The seats were already taken out, and bought me a 100-gallon water tank and a pressure washer and a sign that said mobile car wash. I was in business just like that within a week. And so I started going to places of employment, the people I knew, to barbershops, hair salons, and just set up shop, started washing. That was the spring and summer of '95. You know, my cousin and one of our friends we went to high school with, we was out there getting, you know, every day. And that was one of those hot summers too. I wish you could go back and probably just look at the numbers for some of the temperatures. And so the fall rolled around. It's not warm like it is now. I can remember good. It was around October. You know, we don't know what we're gonna get. You know, here in the South. So I woke up one morning, it was like 40 degrees. I was out there crook up that bed with just barely crook up, and I can't do this. I said, this water ain't gonna go well on this black skin. So, you know, I know it's gonna warm up, but you know, you still had to start. You know what I'm saying? So I was out there. So just like that, I was out there, sold the van. I think I got $500 or $600 for it or whatever, and so I gave the water tank and the pressure washer to my brother. So anyway, so fast forward, went through some multi-level marketing stuff. You know, I'm not a salesperson, so you kidding yourself in that if you can't talk people into believing what you believe, right? And so a lot of people are successful. I just knew I couldn't do it. So, but I got involved in prepaid legal, which is now Legal Shield. And I think I sold a couple. I think I sold just enough to get my initial, you know, feedback or whatever. And one of my friends, his wife, his then girlfriend, now wife, were going to school to become real estate agents. And the guy that normally taught the class, he wasn't there. And the substitute, he didn't talk about being a real estate agent. He talked about creative ways of investing in real estate with no money. So my friend know how my mind thought, so he told me some of the things about it, and I didn't act on it at that time. That was in October of 2002, so fast forward a couple of months later, I was at my mom's house for Christmas, and I can tell you the date, December 27th, and I was up early, and I saw an infomercial. She was up preparing some biscuits for me, you know, favorite meal, and breakfast rather, and one of the carton sheets of infomercial caught it about halfway through, and you know, they just tell you I made this much money, that much money, but they don't really tell you anything. And you know, I hadn't seen them over the years, obviously, and so I went up to dial and watched one from beginning to end. And so, you know, I just thought to myself at the end of it, you know, you can't be lying about all of this. And so, so then I waited. My mom didn't have internet back then, and so I waited till I got back to Birmingham. And I did a search on this, I posted a question on this message board I used to frequent. It was ablake.net. I don't even think it's up anymore. And I asked the question, does the Carlton Sheets program really work? And one person replied, and he was like, yes, it does. And but Ron LeGrand's course is better. So I did a search for Ron's name, and so I found this course. It was $1,500. And I was still working at Bell South, which is, you know, now AT&T now. And that was a lot of money. You know, it's a lot of money now. It's definitely a lot of money back then. And so they had a condensed version of it for like $69.99 and $80 for shipping. So it came to me in cassette tape form. And so it was just enough. And, you know, I don't know if you all listened to Ronald Graham before, but he could teach. You know what I'm saying? He can get you hyped up, ready to run to that wall or whatever. So it was just, it was some teaser just to let me know enough that, hey, this can be done, you know. So I said, if I got to get a second, I'm going to save the money to get it. So I thought about it a couple of days later, and thought about eBay, and so I went there and did a search for his name, and had a couple auctions. And so I bid it on one auction. Long story short, I lost the auction. The guy emailed me, I guess you could do that back then, and we agreed on $400, you know, for a bootleg version of the course. So I ordered it, and he sent it to me. It was a lot of information. It was wholesaling, it was lease options, subject to, you know, retailing, just the whole gamut. I went from knowing zero about real estate to all of that information. I thought I had to know it all to do it or whatever. And so The only thing that really stuck with me, that I thought I could do immediately was wholesaling and lease options. So the other thing that attracted me is that, if you put out these signs, bandit signs, that people will call you. And so that attracted me. So, because I'm not a person that likes to reach out for business, I like to put the message out there and let business reach back out to me. I can control it then, I can handle it, all this shyness or whatever that I may have with my girl, spotted it earlier. It goes away because now you want something from me, in my opinion. So, that's happening. So I marvel at people like Kelly that reach out and, what I'm saying? So, that's powerful. The world is yours. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, I bought 50 bandit signs. A new Walmart had opened, and they had a sign. How they have the retail spots in the front of Walmart. A sign shop opened in that Walmart, so I bought 50 signs, paid $250, which was drastic overpayment for it, but I didn't know any better. And I got them back on a Friday, put them out on a Sunday, and that Monday, the first 2 calls I received, one of them was a lease option opportunity, and one of them was a wholesale opportunity. The lease option opportunity, y'all heard this before? Anybody heard this before? Because I skip over, but okay, so yeah. All right, so anyway, this preacher, I didn't know he was a preacher at the time when he called. And so he had a house, his mom, he inherited a house, and he didn't live in the house. The house was just vacant, and they had a mortgage on it. And so I explained to him that he owed too much for me to do a cash deal on it, but I could take over the payments and relieve him of the debt, and within a couple of years, I'll put a tenant in there and they'll cash him out. So he was cool with it. He just wanted to be relieved of the debt. I think he was already one payment behind. So I advertised the property, and this young lady called me. She was a nurse, and she wanted somewhere to place her family, a house. She wanted to be able to put them in a house, and so I told her it was $5,000 down. So she met me at an Old Charlie's in Birmingham and gave me $100 bills. And I could have quit then. You know what I'm saying? I said, man, this stuff works. You know what I'm saying? I could have quit then. So anyway, the house needed some repair. It was livable, but it needed some repair. And the guy told me through our conversation that he was a handyman. And so I thought I was going to do a win-win situation and put them together, let them do some repairs. Also, I was still working at Bellside. One of my friends did mortgages on the side, and the guy wanted to refi the house he was actually living in. And so I put them 2 together. All right, so I told my friend about it. I had already found a tenant and told him how much money she had gave me down. Just in general conversation, he told the owner. So the owner, he was a little jacked up in his finances. So he got mad because he felt he should have got some of, not all of that money. And so when he was scheduled to meet the lady over at the house to talk about the repair, he came over there just highly upset and told her to get off his property. Tyrone did not own it, and he was going to call the police. So obviously the lady thought she had been scammed, right? So she called me just crying and stuff, and I can remember just like it was yesterday. I was on Green Springs Highway in Birmingham and Homewood, passing by the bank where I bank at, and I said, I'll meet you and give you your money back or whatever. And I apologized to her, even though I had spent about $700 for that. You know what I'm saying? So I had to, I went back to zero, because I don't even know why I spent the $700 because I had to replace it. So I went and gave her money. Met her and gave her money back and apologized to her, whatever. She was cool because she just wanted her money back. And so, and I called the owner, and he and I got into it. Previously, my friend told me that he was a minister, and so he and I just got into just a cursing match. And so I knew how to push a minister button. So I told him, I don't know what flock you're leading, but I feel sorry for him. and so he said, if I ever see you again, it ain't gonna be pretty. So that was how the conversation ended. The second call I got was a wholesale opportunity. 2 sisters, their mom died. I'm sure you all are familiar with this done deal. It was inherited property. We're not gonna sell mama's property. We ain't gonna sell mama. We got too many members. So they went through the thing of trying to rent it out to mainly relatives. You know how that's gonna go. They're gonna start counting your money or whatever. And so after about 4 or 5 years of that, they were ready. They were motivated, as you know, what to sell. And so they called me And I wish I had a picture. I don't know why I didn't do it. But they called me, and we negotiated 20,000. I didn't even know if that was a deal or not. I just felt it. Well, I still was thought, well, not sort of, I was green. And so I went to her house. I showed up in my 1985 Toyota Celica convertible, white Celica. And they actually thought I had the money with me. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I don't worry like that. We're going to sign this contract. It's going to take about 30 days to close it or whatever. So I advertised the property. This real estate agent called me and said that he had a buyer. And so I just broke the deal that I got on 20,000. I'm trying to sell it at 25. He said the 25 work, but I need half of that. So I agreed to it. So instead of making 5,000, I make 2,500. I met him at in a parking lot at a shopping center, and signed a contract. They gave me $500 earnest money. About 10 days later, we closed at their attorney's office, and the seller was just happy. How much you get, Taylor? They was like that. You know what I'm saying? Want to see how much I made. But they got the 20,000 or whatever. So it was just like that. And so that was my first deal. That was $2,500 that I was able to keep. I had to get it back, but it was like $250 to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I had failed at so many things before. Man, you just don't know. I thought I always had a brilliant idea of something. I just failed at so many things. So that was my first deal. So fast forward, how did I get to even thinking about flipping apartments? All right. So what happened was I just putting out signs, and a guy called me, said he had an 8-unit apartment building. Was it 8? Yeah, 8-unit apartment building. It was in a part of town I had never done a deal in before, because it was which I'll break that down to you a little to make more sense. It was in a D neighborhood. You know what an A is? An A is to be whatever you consider the best part of town, and then option in there to be a D. I had never done a deal as far as houses over there. And so the guy, I didn't know nothing about income or how many units to fill, unit mix, and all that stuff, which I'll explain in a minute. All I knew is that it sounded like it was a deal. And I said, what's the worst can happen? So I put it under contract. And so I put it under contract. And so I advertised in the newspaper, which the newspaper was still a vital strategy to advertise. Waste of money now. And so the people started calling me. I was just shocked, calling me like crazy. And so I met these couple of guys out there with the owner, and I couldn't keep them separated, right? It was like 3 guys showed up, right? And so normally when you meet, after the seller and the buyer, and sometimes the seller won't give you keys, so you got to be out there to mediate, you know what I'm saying? And so they just basically agreed what they were going to do, and then the buyer came and said, "This is what we're going to do, right? We're gonna pay him." They helped him save on taxes. I don't remember the numbers, but basically I think the deal was for like $70,000 for the 8 units, but they agreed to just pay him cash $40,000, as far as what the paperwork said, getting the other 30 outside of closing to save him on taxes, and we're gonna give you $5,000. They just agreed to do that, right? Then asked me that I was cool with it. That's what was agreed upon, you know what I'm saying? So I was cool with that, because the way I look at stuff like that is, number one, I met some buyers that I didn't even know, right? And that was my fault, because I wasn't educated enough to prevent that from happening, right? So, but I'll take that $5,000 lesson, so they paid me for that lesson. So I was like, wow, these apartment things, that's something. I can't wholesale houses in this neighborhood, but no trouble with apartments. So that's when I started educating myself. So I was like, why not apartments? So, and like most people, I was afraid and intimidated by, number one, the numbers, the large amounts of numbers you can get into when you start talking about multifamily, even in quote unquote D neighborhoods or the hood or whatever. So I started educating myself, and you went back to cash or credit, but I realized, well, I just did a deal and my cash or credit didn't matter, as for the multifamily deal. And then I've never seen anyone advertise this online that was even an option to wholesale multifamily, which is can be a form of commercial real estate. So that's when I started targeting, multifamily. Mainly the thing that I was doing early on is like those 8 units. You can see those just any decent sized market. You could just see just a normal for rent sign there. It's not really being managed by a property management company or whatever. And so I just started reaching out to them and see if they want to sell, but also through direct mail, which I'm gonna get into that. But just to give you some bullet points on the difference between houses versus apartments, it's low competition. It's low competition. Again, you got so many people, advertising, wholesaling, and flipping houses. Whereas with apartments, I have investors that I deal with that are worth easily 8 figures, mid 8 figures, and they're afraid of commercial. You know what I'm saying? And I can't understand, but that's a benefit to everybody that's here. But they're afraid of it. It ain't a lack of money. It's not a lack of resources. It's just a lack of knowledge in their situation. It's easy. Stay right here. It's easier virtually to do. As far as like people talk about virtual wholesaling. Virtual wholesaling with houses works well also, but it's more important in my opinion. Like she's talking about house dirt, you got to have somebody on the ground in a different market to be able, if nothing else, to mediate between the seller and the buyer, because normally the buyer is local, normally the seller is local. So you got to have that in place. But with multifamily, a lot of times the buyer doesn't live there. A lot of times the seller doesn't live there. So it's not as big of an issue. Sometimes it's just all broker driven, which I'll get to that also. Now dealing with buyers. With a multifamily property, as little as 4 units, you can have a buyer that's interested in Utah versus a house in the same neighborhood, only local buyers will be interested. That's one of the other things that I like about apartments versus houses. Don't get me wrong, you make money with both. And on anything I'm talking about, you can make money with both. But that's another reason. The bigger paydays. Like with that deal that I gave away for $5,000, there was no reason I shouldn't have made $25,000. But from a lack of knowledge, that caused not to make. But so later on, because I did gain the knowledge and understanding, I had control of the property, but I allowed them to muscle me out. So later on, as I put deals together, I knew the control was the same as when I had houses. I just had to make sure the numbers were right. So with an apartment deal, the bigger paydays are going to come just because, number one, going back up to the national buyers, you're going to have a larger audience or a larger network of people that you can actually tap into. So now they're competing for your deal, which allows you to make more money. Competition brings on a better payday for you. So, and then the cash flow opportunities, if you actually want to try to hold on to a property, those opportunities will present themselves also either through you going through normal channels or through some creative finance. So, all right, now we're going to go through the actual process. Some of the reasons people will be motivated to even sell apartment buildings. All right, a partnership may dissolve. That's going to be probably up there as far as some of the common reasons why someone or a group may want to sell an actual property is because people want to go their separate ways. Sometimes one partner wants to go a separate way and just want out of his share, and then it causes the other to sell also, and they just moving to something different. All right, a bigger project. That's going to be a common reason also. People may have a 50 unit. They can liquidate the property that they have. Then now they can go into a much larger unit, which I didn't even put it on the screen, by possibly using a 1030 exchange to do so. And basically what a 1031 exchange is a way to avoid delaying paying taxes by buying another property of similar type within the same price range. So you may say they may cash out a property at $1 million, they can go out and spend $1 million on another property, and they can delay their taxes. They don't need the money. They want their money working for them. They're just trying to delay the actual taxes on it. So, all right, poor management. Now, poor management is the one that you really want, because now that's going to cause the owner to feel like this is not an asset for me anymore. It is a headache, whether he's managing it or he actually has a bad management company in place. Now, as a lot of times with management companies, that's what you want with your cash flow properties, that you want a management company handling that for you. In most cases, some people like to have their hands on, so that that's up to them or whatever. But for the small amount of money that you'll pay them to relieve you of that headache, I think it's worth it. And that's probably what I really should have done. Some of the deals I've done when I was trying to do either lease option or just some straight rentals. But I'm one of those people, I want to be more hands-on, but, I paid for it. So now some people, they have they're not going to let anyone get over on it. And they're going to push the right button to make sure, and they're going to make sure that they're handling their business legally, where they reduce the cost it's going to take to get that person out of there and get another person in there. But poor management is going to be one of the main reasons why someone wants to sell a property and sell it at a price that's going to work for you. All right, death and inheritance. I don't care what form of real estate it is. That's probably, divorce is going to be up there too. But death and inheritance is going to be just huge, because a lot of times what happens is that mom and dad have built it, and the kids sell it. Because, they don't have any sweat equity in it. And they're going to get rid of it because they want the cash now. Forget about the cash flow that it's producing. We want the cash right now. So that's why probate is big with any form of real estate. It's really not my thing, because I don't have a patience for it. I just do the market and let it come back how it comes back. But that's why probate is big, because inherited properties come from relatives that want to get rid of a piece of real estate because they don't want the headache of doing whatever, whether it's managing it, whether it's continue to pay the taxes on it, repairs, just whatever. So death and inheritance is going to be some other reasons why someone will be motivated to sell. Now, divorce, we know that's going to be. I had a lady, just to go back to the house, I had a lady to sell me a house one time, just ridiculously cheap. She got it in a divorce. She just wanted to piss her husband off, because she knew how much work he had to put in the house. And so he sold it to me cheap for just that reason, just out of spite. And I'm not the moral police or trying to, your wish is granted. So divorce is going to be the same thing with multifamily. So health. I talked to a 80-year-old guy today, and he called me with it was houses. But the deal that I did, the first deal that I did, the reason that guy was selling it because of his health. So that's going to be a very common reason why someone is going to sell health, along with whatever medical bills that may come along with it, because they can't, their insurance doesn't cover it all. So health is going to be another reason why someone's there. And then probably the number one reason, and any of y'all that's done any market as far as wholesaling houses or whatever, landlords are probably the number one people they call you. But they just tired. Now they still might get the price you want. They ain't that tired. You know what I'm saying? But they just tired. They're just tired of just dealing with tenants. Okay, so with all that being said, I spent so much time on figuring out how to find the deal. I don't care what it is, whether it's houses, multifamily, single tenant, now self-storage. I spent a lot of time on finding the deal, because I think I can make money if I find the opportunity. So we're going to talk about how to locate deals. All right. When I say landlords offline and online, we'll start with online. All right. Now, I didn't put it up there. Now I guess I should have. and I don't know if I have it up there, but I gotta say it. Now you do how you want to do, but when I'm trying, we're talking about wholesaling apartments. I want them to be off market. The only way wholesaling, in my opinion, works consistently is that you have control over the seller from the beginning. All right, because once you start trying to market for a buyer, you want the funnel to come through you directly. As far as any advertisement, it needs to funnel through you. So if you find a property that's already advertised, it makes it more difficult. I'm not saying you can't do it, it just makes it more difficult. So I look for off-market stuff. That makes it more special. And you have a lot of buyers that actually is off-market, because they feel I can go, wherever you find it. So now you can find something that's already been advertised and turn it into a great deal. You just have to have the right buyer for it. Some buyers don't prefer to hassle it, but you have to just have the right buyer for it. So I spend my time looking for off-market deals. Then I present it to the world that is now on market or whatever. So I just wanted to say that before I get into that, because it gives me the total control of the deal. So offline and online. What I mean by that is, we'll start with online. So what I like to do is re-engineer, and I like to do this even with houses. Instead of me looking on Craigslist for the houses that are for sale, I'll go in the rental section and reach out to them and see if they want to sell. I'm looking for that entire landlord. Or now you're going to run into a lot of property management companies and property managers, but you're looking for that landlord that posted his own property for sale. All right, so same thing with apartments. Now, Craigslist and Zillow, they're not as good as far as having a huge number, but unless you scour the entire country, which you can use this website called Search Tempest to allow you to search, Craigslist throughout the country. You just put in what you're searching for. You can put in the mile radius that you want to search from. So you just put in some search terms and it'll just pull it up. And you choose the category that you're interested in. All right. So another thing, this other website that I like is GoSection8.com. And obviously it's a Section 8 website, but it has a filter option there that will allow you to search apartments. So they're trying to rent out their apartments. But what you're doing as someone is trying to look for deals, you're going in there and the landlord's contact information is there. And so now that gives you an opportunity to reach out directly to the landlord. Again, some of those will be property managers, but a lot of those will be the actual owner, the decision maker. That's who you want to reach out to. And so you'll reach out to them and say, is that property, is that unit still available? And they're like, yeah. When they say yes, doesn't matter. And you're like, well, I'm really not calling about renting a unit. I was wondering if you would like to sell this property. So whether they say yes or no, they say yes, then yeah, you go to the next step and you'll start collecting the information you need, which we'll get into in a second. If they say no, your follow-up question should be, well, do you have any other properties you want to sell? You know what I'm saying? They might not want to sell them, but they got this one over here. They're be glad to dump to you. You know what I'm saying? So that's online. Let me see. Am I missing a site that you can target also? I'll think about it. So offline. Now, what I like to look for offline is, and you normally won't see these in large buildings, but you'll see in the 8, maybe 10, 20 unit building. You'll just see that generic red and white sign that says for rent, or that generic black and white sign that says for rent. That's probably the landlord to put that out there. Sometimes still be property managers / realtors, but that's probably the actual owner. Those are beautiful. Even on houses, those are beautiful. That just generic red and white sign, that's probably the owner. Mm-hmm. So, hey, is that property still available? Yes or no? If yes, you take the information. If he says no, well, do you have anything else you want to sell? That's I love it. Those are signs that they bought from either Walmart or Lowe's or Home Depot or somewhere like that. That's something right there. Anybody can do that. That don't cost you nothing. It's some gas money. You know what I'm saying? So another thing you could do, is the property manager. I'm gonna get into that. The brokers. with the offline stuff now, social media wise, what you can do, and I guess that's back online, but social media wise, what you can do, nothing prevents you. You know, you never know who's watching your page or whatever. Just occasionally putting out a post that, you know, I buy apartments. You know what I'm saying? I pay a referral fee, because you never know what relationship someone has with the apartment building that they may be living in or they used to live in, and being able to contact that landlord. They may know the situation, you know, and maybe a situation they used to date the landlord, you know, who knows, or whatever. So, so you just definitely want to do that, you know, because that exposure, we never know what tentacles that has, you know. So, property managers. Now, this is sort of tricky here, because if you contact the property managers, they can look at it as that you're about to take a client from them. But sometimes they want you to take the client, and they know that they'll sell and they're motivated to sell. Now, you can offer an incentive that if you close on the deal, that you'll pay them a referral fee, because there may not be a client, there may be an old client of theirs or whatever that they know is struggling, the property is struggling, and they want to sell it. So property managers is a great way to reach out to them to see if they have any client, previous or current clients that may want to sell something that's off market. All right, so brokers. Now, residential real estate agents is where I deal with them. Now, I probably leave a lot of money on the table because of my hang-ups with them, and maybe they hang-ups with me or whatever. But mainly because it's their reluctance to not want to understand that we could be the biggest benefit that they could ever have, more so than somebody that wants to buy a house and live in it, because that's probably going to be a one-time deal. Even cash investors, because we would produce, as a wholesaler, you would produce more volume for them than a cash investor, because of the number of properties that you could probably put under contract and produce a cash buyer, and they still get paid on it. But their mind didn't work like that. You know, ain't nothing we can do about that. That ain't all of them. That's just the majority of them. You know what I'm saying? Occasionally you can find some that are gator about there. You know what I'm saying? So, but on the commercial side of the game, they're all investor minded. It's just a different mindset. But they will try to still be gatekeepers in the sense that never think that they're being buddy with you just to do it. You know, they got a family to feed. They're number one. That's well, I'm thinking about my client. Yeah, you may be, but you think about yourself first. So a lot of times they will actually seem as if they're taking you through a job interview. How many properties do you own? How much experience do you have? Like, you want to sell the property, or is this a job interview? I'm saying I'd be just like that. There's too many of them. You know, hey, if you don't want to talk to me anymore, I'm on to the next. You know, so, but they can be a good source. I had to say that. They can be a good source for multifamily opportunities, but off market. Now, a lot of times they're going to automatically want to show you what they have, but sometimes they just have a relationship with an owner for whatever reason, and the owner doesn't want to advertise his property for sale. So those are another sort. So you have the entire country that you can target commercial brokers. So it's all about lead generation. All right, now direct mail. Now, most of you all are familiar with doing ListSource, Melissa Data, some of the other outfits that produce lists for absentee owners for a wholesale house. But you can do the same thing. You can do the same thing with apartments. The only issue with that is, which in Madison County, here in Madison County, is really not an issue, because I've bought lists here before, is that that information is only going to come through as accurate as the county codes it. And sometimes ListSource, the option that they have is going to be the same for all the counties in the country. But it'll say residential multifamily. I'm just using ListSource as an example. But that may just mean condos in a particular county or townhouses. I bought a bad list like that in Shelby County in Memphis, where most of them were condos. And so they would just, it'll say 6 units, but there was only, the person only owned one of the units in the 6. So it was a bad list or whatever. But here in Shelby County, in Madison County right here, it's a good list, that'll approve, from my experience. The last time I approved it was maybe a year or so ago. But so direct mail, so in that direct mail letter, you're going to reach out to them the same way you would if you're trying to buy a house. And the great thing about this is that you don't have to buy as large of a list, because, and then whenever I'm creating a list, and you don't have to do this, but it's just where I do it, I only want to target owners where they don't list their property under an entity, like an LLC or a corporation or whatever. I want them to have the actual name. It's I'm the owner, John Brown, I'm the owner. All right, man, the response rate on multifamily, from my experience, is so much higher than it is on houses. Like you can send out 1,000 postcards on, well, I won't say we'll say postcards as an example, on houses, and get 2% response, 3%, which is great. 30 people call you, whereas you do 100 apartments and get the same thing. It's just a different game, So, and I'm not even sure why you'll get the same, get a better response rate. So, direct mail is a very, very effective way of reaching out to multifamily owners. All right. Now, with that same list, and I just recently discovered this. Some of this stuff is amazing. I've been doing this 14 years and figuring some of it out. But that same list that you purchased for absentee to do direct mail, it would be the same list that you can take and form for phone numbers. And so we'll just say you bought a list of 500 multifamily owners. Probably about 30% of those you can find phone numbers. So what is that? What is my math? 150? That's a lot of phone numbers you can call directly. Now, you'll have some disconnected numbers, you'll have some wrong numbers, but you're going to have a lot of phone they're not going to answer. You got to just keep following up. No different than direct mail, just keep following up, and you're going to have the one that's going to answer, right? And so the numbers will just play out at that point. But you have the entire country that you can target. That's the great thing about it. You have the entire country that you can target. So that's a endless amount. So, and then that brings down the expense, which, deals are obviously cover whatever expense on marketing for the most part. But that brings down the expense, and it also creates a faster response. If you can just buy a list right now, spend a couple of hours looking for phone numbers, and then start making phone calls. You can do all that in the same day to create some action. And you can spend $100 or whatever. So now just the numbers just going to play out. All right, so bird dogs. No different than with houses. If you wanted to, I guess, just through social media, just using that, when I said the generic red and white signs or black and white signs, that would be what you would put out there. You see these in your neighborhood, send me these, And now when I deal with a bird dog, I want them to do something besides just provide a phone number. Call, I'll give them a set of instructions. Now, what I'll do, and I can encourage you don't have to do all this crazy videos I do and stuff, but you can create a quick little video on YouTube, upload it, put it as unlisted, and explain to people what you want from your bird dog. And so when someone contacts you about being a bird dog, you text them the link, and they see what you'll need to be a bird dog for you. Now, what I would tell them is, in your market, I don't care where you are, if you see these signs, I had a sign in the video, I hold it up, or however you want to do it, right? Call the number, see if they want to sell. If they want to sell, here's the information that you'll need, which I'll get in there in a moment. Here's the information you need. And if we close the deal, I'll pay you. On apartments, I would probably tell them a minimum of $2,000. Because I know I'm going to probably be able to cover that with no problem. A minimum of $2,000. So that just opens up the entire country, because you never know who's, like I say, watching or associated with your social media, because it can spread so fast or whatever. Just using that as an example. And obviously you post it on there, you got friends and they repost or whatever. And so Bird dogs can be very popular, but I like to give them a set of instructions, so we won't do a lot of tire kicking. That's going to happen anyway, but we won't do as much. If I give them a set of instructions before they even come to me, you need to have this information. I just don't want an address. You know what I'm saying? I want more information. Now, but some people may just want the phone number. They can call themselves. That's fine too. But I normally just want a little bit more information, try to eliminate, just be a little bit more efficient with my time or whatever. So, all right. So, driving for units, which is similar to the offline option. Now, when I say driving for units, I was really more thinking about, most of us know where probably a vacant apartment building is located. All right. And so driving for use can be, like I was mentioning before, with the red and white signs, black and white generic for rent signs, but those vacant apartment buildings. And I put out a video when it was Saturday, and this app is called Landline. And that app, you can get it for Android. What did I just say? Landline. It's Land Glide. It's called Land Glide. And that app, man, it's powerful. It just, any of y'all can download it right now. And you sit in front of a building and you pull it up, and it's going to automatically pull up who owns the property. All right, with their mailing address. So that's power. And then what I guess the reason they call it Glide, then you can just start gliding through the addresses next door, behind, front, just all over. You know what I'm saying? And just, even though that's some simple information, but it's simple and it helps you identify. Some of the hardest things to do sometimes is to identify the address of an apartment building. Because the way the county may have it coded may be different than the actual mailing address. And sometimes that's difficult to do. So that app, now they have a free version. It's 7-day trial, but it's $9.99. But I think it's more than worth it. It'll cover, I want to deal with more than cover, but I highly recommend that. So, but going back to it, but with vacant apartment buildings, those are value add opportunities. And how I even got to where I wanted to start calling phone numbers from the list I was just talking about, I saw in a vacant apartment building over in a neighborhood that I often frequent. And I just started doing research on it. I found out who owned it, and I started doing research on it. I found the owner. I was like, why can't I just do that on just buy a list and do that on an entire list? And so that's how I say, dang, why you been this for a long time? And anyway, so I called the lady. Her husband had just died back in, I think I called her in July. Her husband had died in February. And she wants to sell it. She said, but they couldn't do anything until the probate situation was taken care of. He didn't have a will. And it would be called back in January. But it's like I think it was a 10-unit building just sitting there vacant. Now, I don't know if they're going to sell it at a price that makes sense, but it needs, it's distressed. It needs a lot of work. But, in that area, well, it doesn't matter really what part. That's the great thing about it. If you get the right price, you always got that. With apartments, even with houses though, but you go always with apartments, have them people with them dreams that they want to get into multifamily, and they want to do their own rehab and all that stuff. So those buyers are going to be just readily. But I just found that just through my normal travel. So what I'm saying is that going back to Bird Dog and social media, put it out there, take a picture of this property. Yeah, I would probably hit them to Land Glide. Let's figure out the address. Send me that over, and you do the research on it. Now you probably have to do the research on it on this one if they know where a vacant apartment building is at, and send it to you. You know what I'm saying? And now, if you can find the phone number, call them. But obviously, you can just send them a direct mail piece. Now, when I send people a direct mail piece, I do a little different. And I wish I had that up there too, but I'm going to send, I order these envelopes from envelopes.com. They're 9.5 by 12.5, I think. It's the same size as you receive something from UPS or FedEx. And it's that same tough cardstock material. So when they receive it, and they don't get caught up in the clutter of the rest of their mail. It's more expensive. It costs like $1.15 a piece to send it, but you're in the real estate business. You ain't selling pencils. You know what I'm saying? And so, that may mean $50,000 for you. That $1.15 piece of mail or whatever. I remember the first one that worked for me on the house, $13.5 on it, $1.15. Lady told me sitting at the closet, the older lady, she said, you know how many postcards I get every week? I got a whole table full of them, but you sent me this. She said, let me see what this fella's talking about. He took a lot of time after sitting there. That's why she called me. Because I sent her, that or whatever, versus, this. Because she was getting a lot of that, you know what I'm saying? Because she don't have to speak this, and it was in an area that a lot of investors in Birmingham target or whatever, so just standing out from the crowd. But with apartments, because your target is so few or whatever, I'll probably just send them UPS or FedEx. Normally I like UPS because my brother worked there, but I'm gonna send them UPS. I'm gonna send them FedEx. UPS. You'll kill me on that. I'm gonna send them UPS. All right, so because you can number one track it better, even though you can do that through the post office, but I just like to send UPS or whatever. So, and now that's going to be a little bit more expensive, and you might gravitate to that, but talking $7-8, depending on where it's going. Send it ground. I ain't trying to send it overnight. Just send it regular ground. It's going to get noticed. I want my piece of mail to get noticed. The hardest thing in direct mail is to get your message read. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to send it that way. I had this lady call me about apartment buildings. It was so funny. I sent an apartment building, and I already seen she had just paid $100 for it. I said, she paid $100 for that? I said, this can't be right. Because it's an 8-unit building, not in the greatest part of town, and she called me, and she paid $100 for it. Actually got a loan on it for $100. Ain't nothing I can do with that. You know what I'm saying? It needs too many repairs. She said, I want to sell it. I'll sell it to you for $125. I said, ma'am, ain't nothing like that. Well, why you send me that? I said, I didn't know, So anyway, the point being is just the direct mail in that format really works. All right, so I spent a lot of time on this because finding deals is everything for me. The other stuff is easy, buyers, contracts, closing, the deal, man. Y'all can wholesale this stuff at Empire State Building if I can get it for half a bill. I can probably wholesale in 10 days for $700 because it's probably worth a bill. So, but that ain't how y'all will never see me again. All right, now let's get into knowing what's the deal. All right. Like within the real estate, location matters. All right. So, with multifamily, and one of the first things that I learned when I got into real estate, I had already started doing dealing with this guy locally in Birmingham. Matter of fact, he was the same guy. I didn't know a couple of years later. He was the same guy that inspired the substituted for my friend and his wife at their real estate. He was the same guy that substituted that night. And I ended up finding out about that he had a class once a month on Saturdays. And so the way he opened the class, he used to make this statement. But I went like 2 or 3 times to realize he was saying the same stuff over again. Something to me, I guess. And every house is a step up for someone. He said, you don't believe that? He said, I can take you to downtown Birmingham. We'll find a homeless person. We'll go find the worst house that we can find, and I'm sure they'll take it. He said, don't get caught up into where you want to live, right? Because he said, I don't care where you live right now. He said, for some people, that's going to be a Taj Mahal. But for others, it ain't going to be good enough. So as an investor, you want to go and make money with least resistance. All right, so I can't tell somebody I'm spending money, just my money. I don't care if the check's still the same, I don't care where it is. But location does matter to some investors, when you start talking about wholesaling. So you got to keep that in mind. But with multifamily, because you can open up your deals to the entire country. And I found this out the hard way a little while back. This guy, he actually played basketball for the University of Alabama. He didn't know I knew that, but it didn't matter. But he had bought a lot of property in D neighborhoods. All right, so you have A, B, C, and D. So you know what an A is. You all assume what an A is. That's the best, quote unquote, better neighborhoods. You know what a D is. That's going to be, quote unquote, blue collar, maybe a little crime infested or whatever. So you can imagine what C and D are, in between those. It's going to be the next level up. C is going to be the next level up from D, and B is going to be the next level down from B. So you get it. So that's how multifamily is broken down. It's a D property, you know what I'm saying? It's a D property, it's a C property, it's a B property, it's an A property. All right, so, but he had properties in a D area. He had over 100 units. And he called me 3 times. And I tried to put a deal together, but he couldn't provide enough information for me to make a deal work. I had buyers interested, but I could never get all the information. I'm going to get into that in a minute. I could never collect all the information needed with that number of apartments. So if it's an 8-unit building, you don't need as much information. The more units you have, the more information there needs to be for someone to make an informed decision because they know I'm going to spend more money. Fast forward, I was trying to move a 300 unit property, and I ran into this buyer. He's like, "Yeah," he said, "You in Birmingham, man?" He said, "Yeah, I bought those properties from such and such." I said, "You bought those?" He said, "Yeah, man." He says, "We love deep properties." I was like, "Wow," you know what I'm saying? I said, "Wow." He said, "We got a great deal on them, even though we could never get all the information." I was like, "Right." So I had the same property. So, but I want the different level of properties. With an A property, I've never done a deal on an A property, and I've never done a deal on a B property. All right, I've only done C's and D's. All right, A's are very difficult to get a deal on. You're talking full price and sometimes overpriced. Y'all from different parts of where, but you understand what I mean when I say A. The buyers on A properties, they buy on surely speculation that the values and the rents are going to continue to go up, so that if they overspend a little bit or pay full price, they know they're going to make their money back, because it's going to increase in value just from just historical data. All right, on the B, similar. With a B, it's similar but not as extreme or whatever, because a B can turn into a C, but a B can also turn into an A or whatever, just from the area. So it's not the same. So I've never done a deal on an A and a B. Hopefully you all can say, "Hey, I did one," whatever. But I've never done a B. But C's and D's, hey, let's get it, So, but you have to understand those class of property, to whenever properties come your way or what, because that's to be some of the questions that buyers, brokers and all that will ask you. All right, so now number of units in the occupancy, or you can say vacancy, or same thing. All right, so whenever you're talking, you're evaluating the property, you always want to know the number of units, obviously. Okay, y'all can control that here? You can't? Okay. Okay, all right. So the number of units, that's going to be one of the questions you're going to ask. So you obviously know the location. You'll figure out what the class of it is. All right. The number of units. And then you want to know the occupancy rate. All right. That's very important because what a lot of investors like and some don't like, they want what they consider value add opportunities. A value add opportunity is going to be from being able to raise the rents, increase the occupancy rate, do some repairs, and then raising the rents. All of that will factor in. So the number of units and the occupancy rate is all factors that you have to pull as far as when you get the information. Sometimes it's like pulling teeth from these owners, even though they want to sell or whatever, but you got to have this information. All right, so unit mix. What the unit mix means, how many 2-bedrooms, how many 1-bedrooms, how many 3-bedrooms, 2 1s, 1, you know what I'm saying? So is that catalog or that inventory of actual properties. That's what unit mix means. All right, I'll send you all. You all can get this slideshow. I'll make it available to y'all. All right, so the income and other. All right, the income mainly is obviously going to come from rents, but you can have other things there that they can generate income from. Normally, it's going to come from having a laundromat available on site, some vending machines. Sometimes they get a kickback on the cable, even internet. Sometimes, depending on the property. So those are going to be other sources of actual income on the property. But most of your income is obviously going to come from the rents. Okay. All right. So the expenses, you're going to need to know that. And you'll understand why here in a minute. So you'll need to know what the expenses are on the property. Now, expenses, depending on the size of the property, can range from a lot of different things. From obviously taxes, insurance, utilities, depending on what type of property. Sometimes the tenants will pay all the utilities, or the owner will pay some of the utilities. Sometimes the owner will pay the water on the bill. On the property. Sometimes they'll pay for the trash pickup. Sometimes they'll make the tenants pay for that. So that'll vary. Then depending on how large the property is, you may have your property management fee that'll range anywhere from as little as maybe 5%, normally up to about 10%. If you have an on-site manager or an on-site maintenance guy, lawn services. So all of that will factor in as far as expenses. It could be a little bit more detailed depending on advertising costs. All of that will factor in the expenses. All right, so you'll need to know the net operating income. Now, I'm going to get into this a little bit more detail in a couple of slides later. But whenever you get the actual income and the expenses, you can figure out the net operating income. This is the name of the game in commercial real estate. Is net operating income, NOI. That's how they know how much money is being made. You're taking the income and subtracting the expenses from it to come up with net operating income. Net operating income. That allows you to come up with a capitalization rate or a cap rate. Okay, I'm gonna get into more detail of that. This is those two things, NOI, cap rate, is what all investors want to know. But it comes from that other stuff. That's all they want to know. Because the cap rate, you look at it, you put your money in a bank and then you can get that 0.5% return on it, or you get a CD, you get that 1% or 2% return. That's basically the same thing. But with income producing properties for a commercial, they're looking at 6, 7, 8, 10, sometimes 12, 13, and on up as for a percentage. But most people can relate to that, because you're looking for a return on your money, what your money worth. And that's basically all a piece of real estate investment as far as commercial is you allowing your money or your resources and money to work for you, whether it's a combination of credit and or cash to work for you. Okay, so you'll need to know the condition of the property. Now, sometimes, especially if you're doing it from a distance and you can pay people, you can hire people right off of Craigslist to go out and shoot a quick video for you and upload it. And then you can also pay people to actually do a more detailed inspection for you from a distance. And I've had people that I just pay them $20 to go out there and do it. I give them some really detailed instructions on how I want them to do it or whatever. But the condition is going to factor in your ability to be able to negotiate the best price available. Just from getting, when was the last time the roof was done? How is the property heated and cooled? Have you had any renovations over in the recent time frame? Because you want to know all of those things, as far as whenever tenants move out, how detailed are the renovations? So you go into every stage of that. Now, the debt on the property is not taken into consideration with an expense, but you still need to know that, because if they owe X amount then you may have to use additional strategy because getting a cash price may not be ideal because of how much they owe. So that may create another opportunity to create some type of creative financing with the existing debt in place. So, all right. Some investors, like one of the guys that I on that very first deal that I did, he and I he was one of the buyers, became pretty good friends. And he only based his deals, he didn't care about cap rates, none of that stuff. Whenever I go into it, it'll make a little bit more sense. He didn't care about cap rates or any of that stuff. He wanted to know what he could buy it for per door, meaning per unit. So if he knew a property in this area, so that it's similar to houses. If he knew another property in the area sold for this, he was going to base his actual whether he was going to buy the property, he thought it was a good deal or not on per door. So when I used to talk to him about cap rates. He didn't want to talk about that. He and I never done another deal. We remained friends, you know what I'm saying, because he's a cool dude to hang out with, but I couldn't deal with him because he didn't buy properties the way most people buy properties. But he's not the only one that does that, but most don't buy it that way. You know, it'll be a factor as far as the way they may advertise it, but it's going to boil down to this cap rate and the NOI. All right, so how do we get to cap rate and NOI? Now, I somewhat went into it, but to come up with the NOI, the net operating income, you take the gross income. This is over an annual period, of course, 12 months or a year. Gross income minus gross expenses equals net operating income. All right, to come up with a cap rate, you take the NOI and divide the actual price to equal the cap rate. Okay, the next slide, I think I got some actual numbers there. I guess I don't. I'm going to come back to that, remember, but I want to show you, I want to break that down to you. All right, so attractive cap rates. Whew, now that's a tough one because in a D neighborhood, an attractive cap rate may be 15%. But in an A neighborhood, it's going to make more sense when I get to the number. But an attractive cap rate in an A neighborhood may be 5%. That means I'm getting 5% return on my money on an annual basis, where in a D neighborhood it may be 15%. But they deem the D neighborhood is more risky of the type of tenant, you know, perception-wise that they'll have. So that's why they feel they need to get a higher return in those type of neighborhoods versus in an A neighborhood where, as I told you, they're paying full price for it. Because that's how they're going to buy it, based on that price of 5%. And it'll make a little bit more sense when I get to it. But in the D neighborhood, they bought it at 15%. You see what I'm saying? So you have to keep that in mind whenever you're trying to wholesale. Now, 10% of D neighborhood sometimes is really good also by just using the extreme side of both. Because a 6 or 7% in the A neighborhood, depending on. Now, if you're in New York City, it may be 3%. Southern California, it may be 3%. You see what I'm saying? Or parts of Florida, maybe 3%. Or whatever. In Birmingham, 6% may be an A neighborhood. Here in Huntsville, 6% may be an A neighborhood. So it'll just vary. All right, so value add opportunities, which I somewhat mentioned before, but the value add opportunities goes back to it may be a high vacancy rate, may need a lot of repairs, poor management, which can be a common fit. So a combination of all three of those. But a lot of investors, they don't even want it if it's almost full. They don't want it. It seems like for you or me, that's what you want, right? It's almost already. They don't look at it like that. They look at it that they can come in if it's 60% rented, raise the rents, do some repairs, and then that next 40%, well, they won't never probably have it full, but the next 35%, all of them are paying at the new rental rate. That's the way they'll look at it. You see what I'm saying? If we get it at 60, do some repairs. Those ones that are there at 60, they're going to keep paying what they paying. But when we finish those repairs, we're going to raise that 60, and everybody new coming in there, we're going to raise their rent. That's what they coming in at. You see what I'm saying? So that they looked at, so now they may have bought it and it was worth $1 million, but after they do all those repairs and get it what they call you get it I can't think of the word, but basically you get it at that 95% occupancy rate. Now it's worth $2 million. That's a value add opportunity. So that's why they would want those problems. So that's what or the repairs or the occupancy or poor management, combination of those. So, but as a wholesaler, you got to know all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because that means money for you too, because they'll be biting, chomping to get that opportunity, but you still have to put it in the contract at a price that way you can capitalize off them wanting to be able to take advantage of that value opportunity. All right, so we're going to break down the numbers. All right. So the property is producing income of $150,000 per year. All right, that's $12,500 per month. The expenses, which is I think that if I did my math right, I think that's 40% of $150,000. So that's $60,000 per year, $5,000 a month of expenses. All right. So subtract the 60 from the 150. We ain't close up. Okay. Is on? I think I think this was a little short here. Okay, this, we're gonna leave it. There you go. All right, so what I leave off here. Okay. You like it's hard? Okay, all right. So that leaves an NOI. Okay, we'll go back. So the income is $150 a year, expenses $60. That leaves $90,000 net operating income. All right, so now we know what the net operating income is. That's one of the things you'll want to pull from an actual investor. From the actual seller. His price is $1.3 million. So to come up with that amount, come up with that cap rate, that's 6.9%. I took the NOI, the 90,000, and divided the price of 1.3 million, and that gives you the 6.9% cap rate. That's how you come up with the cap rate. You see how you come up with an NOI? Income minus expenses. That's your NOI. The seller said this is the price. Cap rate. So if the seller gave you a price of 1.3 million and said, and my cap rate is 6.9, all you have to do is just times the 6.9, which that'll be 1,300,000 times 0.069, and that'll give you 90,000. So that's how you do it. Those are the numbers. That's on multifamily, that's on self-storage, that's on retail strip centers, that's on single tenant building, hotels. That's it. Now, how you get to those numbers on those different other properties is going to be a little different. But at the end of the day, this is what they buy by, right here. That's it. That's how they buy. Those are the numbers. Those are the numbers. So when you're analyzing a deal, when you're actually analyzing a deal, that's what you're focusing on. So that's why it's so important to get all that information from an actual owner. And sometimes you're dealing with mom and pop, they don't have these numbers. They don't have them. They don't keep their records like that. A lot of times because they are trying to avoid paying taxes, and they intentionally not keep their numbers, or where they report whatever they want. So now you got to go in and assume, right? Okay, so it's 30 units. Average rent is $500 a unit. All right, so they're not going to all be filled. So we'll just say, just for the sake of me, easy math, so y'all won't strain my brain here. 30 units, 500, 25 of them are rented. Average is 500 a unit. So what is that? 12.5 a month. All right. So you probably just for the sake of math, I'm going to say his expenses are 50% of that. You don't know what they are, but that's the way you're going to have to base your offer on, because he can't produce you real numbers. You know what I'm saying? He may come up with his own idea of how he wants to change the problem, because the way you have to think forward as far as your investor, if you're going to wholesale it to them, how they're going, because you can't produce them numbers. They buy properties like that, but they're going to project out that, hey, what's the worst case on this or whatever. And so, but they're also going to project out what they'll compare what other properties are renting for in the area, and they can come up with a number or whatever, and they can assume what the expenses are based on how they handle their business with their other properties and how they manage their other properties. So, because sometimes they're just not going to have the information. Matter of fact, had a owner, how many units he had? Like 80 units. That's a lot of units. But you didn't have any numbers. All this stuff written down. I guess you can always make up stuff, but that just ain't gonna work. It's just not work. A bank is not gonna want to see that. It's just not. So you have to treat that as if, not as if, but he's lying about all of it. The numbers may actually be better than what he's saying, but you have to just treat it that way. Worst case, you know what I'm saying? So that can be a little different and challenging on some of these mom and pop operations, because whenever you're doing your direct mail and stuff, and where their name is still listed, they don't have it in the entity, a lot of times that's what it's going to be, or whatever. That's fine. That creates opportunity. If they want to sell, deal can still be had. You just understand that you're not going to be able to provide numbers. Real numbers to potential buyers, and you just have to break it down to them. And, they're fine with that, but you're going to have to get a great deal. The deal is going to be better than normal in most cases. All right, so now we know how to analyze the property, and they give you what they can give you. So it's time to make an offer. All right. Letter of intent, the LOI. Depending on the size of the property, and I can't even give you an idea of what the breaking point on that is. It's more probably who I'm dealing with. Like I was just explaining with a mom and pop operation, I'm not sending them an LOI. We're just going to verbally talk about a price, and if we can come to a number, then I'll send them a contract. But assuming I'm dealing with a legitimate, somebody that's keeping, I'm not going to say legitimate, but somebody that's keeping their records or whatever, and we'll just say it's a $700,000 property. That's probably what you want to offer. Then I'm going to send them a letter of intent. And basically a letter of intent, but you don't have to do that. It just, contracts can be so long, I don't want to fill it out if we don't even have a deal. You see what I'm saying? So I'm going to send them a letter of intent. And basically that letter is just going to detail out what you're offering. Price, due diligence period, earnest money that you're going to put up, which we'll talk about that in a second on how to avoid that. And when you're closed after the due diligence period, if a broker's involved, what you're willing to pay the broker, I'm always going to offer to pay the broker something. And the reason I do that is I want them to start to work for me too. I want, they can double dip. The owner may have agreed to pay them 2%. I tell them I'll pay you another 2.5% to get the deal done. You know what I'm saying? So, I try to use the greed factor of humans in my favor. So he's basically gonna make double what he was gonna normally make. So he may give a more of a push for the owner to take him up, because a lot of times owners they hire that individual and they weigh heavily on what their opinions are whenever they're going to whether they're going to accept an offer or not. So because you'll have a broker ethically they're supposed to present all offers, but if a broker goes to a seller and says, well, we got this offer in, I got to show it to you, but they're not talking about it. I know we can get better than that. So, he's already sort of, saying, telling him, I got to show you this, but we ain't taking it. Then he come back to us and say, man, this may be a tough one to sell. I think we need to take this offer. That's different. Now, some might just do it, but at least he's getting them in the right, mindset to say, hey, you know what, you're right. Let's go on. Let's go ahead and do it, or whatever. And so you're just increasing your chances by giving them an incentive to do that. So you just playing the game or whatever. So, all right. So earnest money. All right. That's a barrier to entry to most people in commercial real estate. All right. We can talk $10 with houses. Ain't gonna work with commercial. It's just not. But there's a better way of doing that. All right. 500 ain't gonna work a lot of times. 1,000 may work, but not in the sense of what you think. If you're talking about $1 million property, $1,000 earnest money is not gonna work in the traditional sense. Now, I think I came up with this. Most won't, but enough will. All right. So earnest money is a barrier to entry for a lot of people because when you start talking about 7-figure properties or high 6-figure properties, $25,000 is nothing for earnest money. That's a lot of bread. That's a lot of bread. Y'all agree? That's a lot of bread. But the way you structure it is, you say, this be your first offer to them, is that they may, normally they do like 1%. You'll tell them, say, I'll put up 0 up front and sign over a contract, but after the 45-day due diligence period, I'll put up $50,000. All right. They may say no to that. They may say yes, but they may say no to that. All right, so they come back to you. Well, I forgot a part of it. Initially, I'm gonna make a low ball offer, and then they'll count. Normally, they're gonna count, but I'm gonna have those terms in there that about 0 up front and after the due diligence period. But see, there's no law that it has to be put up front. It's just a standard of business, right? And so, if I can get my money back at any period during the due diligence period, so why put it up? Let's put it up when it goes hard. When I can't get it back, unless you can't produce a clear title. And so, what you do is you make a low ball offer. You're not expecting them to accept it. So they'll counter, right? At the counter, if it's a number that, yeah, that'll work for me, right? You come back and say, we really don't want to do it at that price, but if you accept the due diligence terms and earnest money terms, we'll go at that price, right? So it's creating like, hey, y'all won. All right, now they still might not want to do that. So now the next thing you do, so you may initially, I said 50, that first offer was 25,000. So the second offer, because you're gonna go back and forth, you say, well, let's do this then. You send them back another LOI and say, I'll still 0 up front, but I'll do $50,000 at the end of the due diligence period that goes hard. Okay, so most won't, but enough will. Most gonna take that, right? Okay, so what happens is, I got a third one here, but what's gonna happen is that your buyer's gonna put it up regardless of what the number is, right? So it don't matter. You're just trying to so you can lock it up on the contract so you can get out there and start hustling, right? So the third option would be, and this tends to work after if you go back again, is that you tell them, well, this is still a lot of money for free, I get it, or whatever, but you can call me if they accept the offer and the deal where I'll partner up with you. We'll do $1,000 up front, and we'll do the 25, go back to the $25,000 at the end of the due diligence period. They just want to see something in most cases, right? Now we're going to send them a proof of funds. That's so easy to get or whatever. We'll send them a proof of funds, and so I'm probably not going to send the proof of funds until the last option. You see what I'm saying? So you're just playing the game. A lot of that's controlled by the broker. The seller a lot of times don't even care or whatever, especially if he's getting a price that he wants, because he's not making a deal on earnest money, which I understand that's the only way they take you serious a lot of times, but you send the proof of funds with it. So in reality, you can get a property 7-figure property under contract for zero down, just by understanding that after the due diligence period is hard then, you know what I'm saying? So you can't get it back, but you'll have a buyer in place in that time frame. So if you don't find a buyer, you cancel the contract. You're not obligated. So that's what the due diligence period is for. You send an official cancel of contract over and you're removed from the deal. That's just standard business. People pull out of commercial deals way more than they do in residential, you know, because there's just so many factors that go into play. And they may be paying cash and, you know, all the money in the bank, but this doesn't fit the deal for them. They just pull out. You know, that's so common. And so there are a lot of brokers that come back, man, I've never seen anybody place an offer like that. So I tell them, and this is not a lie, you can take it how you want it, is that why would I put that much money up when I can have it doing something else? Why not let's just let it be hard when it needs to be hard? I can get it back at any time. I can have that money doing something else. So they can't disagree with that. Most won't, but enough will. You know, you're still gonna have some, you full of it, you know, so that's fine, next deal. So boom, that's earnest money. That's the barrier that most people they have with it, and that's the way to get around it. You know, so even with on residential properties, where I handle realtors, when it's very rare I deal with them, you know, $500 I can do that, or whatever, 1,000. Fortunate enough to do that, but I still play the game with them because I know they're full of it. I'll say 14-day inspection. We put up 500 after the inspection period, 14 days to close or whatever. So if I don't find a buyer in that time frame, you know, either I'm gonna go ahead and put it up because I think I still can do it, or I'll just pull out. You know, so it's a tip on if you're dealing with a realtor cost, that's the game they're gonna play. They're gonna want to earn this money, not they're gonna accrue funds. So, all right, with contracts, I ain't gonna talk a lot about this because where my one-page contract that I give away on flipman.net on contracts with commercial is deal by deal. And if you got a broker in place, a lot of times the broker will create a contract for you. Okay, so now if you have to go out and create your own, you know, Google is your friend. It's how many commercial real estate contracts you want to download. You know, so that's not that difficult. And you'll have example after example to put it together. You're just making sure. You have to read through it. It's going to probably be 15, 18 pages now. You have to read through it and research things that you're not sure about. You know, that will go a long way on future deals because you'll be able to use that. Once you understand that that contract that you're comfortable with, you'll be able to use it over and over again if you're put in a position where the broker doesn't want to do it or there's no broker involved. It's just going to be to your benefit. 18 page, I hate to read myself, but if you research all of it, the biggest thing that you're looking for in there is being able to control the due diligence period and earnest money and making sure the contract is sound. Those are the biggest things that you're looking for. That's it. You know, everything else you're going to read, but that's lawyer jargon, but again, you can research it. Get a solid contract that you're comfortable with, and you can bet use it over. You know, the only thing you're doing now is just filling in the blank. Property address, who's the owner, price, earnest money, due diligence, sign it, date it. That's it. You know, so don't get all hung up on contract. What I always tell my students, if you got a buyer and you got a seller and the contract is the only thing that's holding you up, oh, you don't have any problems. That's the easy part. I don't like to use the word easy. That's the easy part, is the contract. There's too much information out there that's free on those. You know, and it's going to only benefit you to understand a contract, you know. And people get, well, I can't use that in my state. But, you know, just going back to housing, you and a seller can write up a contract on their kitchen table. You know, as long as you're not performing anything illegal, it's a contract. There's no state specific. You know, if you're dealing with real estate agents, they're not going to play that game. You're going to deal with them, you know, you're going to have to use what the board of realtors have approved in that market or that state. So you just automatically understand that. You got a broker involved on a commercial deal, yeah, I want to do it. You know, so I'm going to read through it. But the main things I'm looking for, you can now play this game on you too. I'm glad I brought that back up. You agreed on the terms in the LOI, and they still come back and say they want the earnest money. 2 days after the execution of the contract. And you just signed the LOI and said you weren't going to do that. Oh, I didn't see that. What? I got it in bold for you, you know what I'm saying? So you have to be aware of that, you know, whatever. But a lot of times brokers will fill out. So the main thing you're looking for is the diligence period, earnest money, and did they put any verbiage in there where the seller has to approve assignments? No. You know, we don't want any of that verbiage in there. Then they say, well, why do you want to do that? Well, I'm paying 1.3 for this property. What if someone came to me and wanted to pay $2 million? Would you turn down that $7? Would you want that to be left up to a seller to be able to determine if I can get that $700,000 payday? No. It shouldn't matter if he's getting his money. It shouldn't matter. Most won't, but enough will. You know, so that makes sense to me. It makes sense to y'all. All right, so let's get to what I call the easy part. Buyers. And when I say that is, we've all had, if you've wholesaled a house before, if you've tried to wholesale a house before, you've had a house that you couldn't get rid of. So it just gonna happen. Same thing with these apartments. It just gonna happen. You know what that means? Either two things or a combination of both. Either you didn't do a good enough job of negotiating an attractive enough deal, and or you didn't do a good enough job of marketing your deal. That's simple. The market is going to tell you. Now, you can be a great market, getting a lot of exposure on the property. If you ain't getting no bites on it, the market has spoken to you. You know, you didn't get it cheap enough for you to make money anyway. Especially if you're getting offers on it. They definitely letting you know you didn't get it cheap enough. You know, a lot of times those offers, just ironically, those offers are about the same or close to each other. So one or two things will happen. You go back to the seller and ask for more time, and they give it to you. No, I'm not asking for more time. I'm on the wrong page. You go back to the seller and say, well, I don't like doing this. Normally, I don't do it. That's the softness in it. But the ones that are more gated than I am, they'll go back to the seller and negotiate that thing down some more. You know what I'm saying? And that happens. I have done it, but I don't like doing it because I like to stick to what we initially agreed to or whatever. But I don't want them coming back to me and say, I want more money. You see what I'm saying? But you got a deal on the table. You got a buyer ready to rock and roll. If it's not that, you can do it just they may go from just use some numbers, say 50,000 to 45. I don't think that's that big of a deal. Is you know, because your buyer might come back and say, I'll pay 50. You got it in the contract for 50. The seller can let you make 5,000. Can I'm a nice guy. I think so. So anyway, so you may have to go, but buyers. So as I mentioned before, nationwide. What's the one? Something?
Oh, it's somebody in the background.
Oh, no, that's cool. What I love about it is that you can take the nation. You got a whole nation you can target. You know, it's amazing. The internet is so, I don't even know what we did before. But some of y'all guys are a lot younger than I am. So I can remember before we had it. You know, so I guess nobody remembers before we had the net, but it is so powerful. That's why all y'all here now looking at me. Man, but you got nature. That's what I love about commercial real estate because you just have the entire country that you can target with buyers. Now, buyers will use cash or financing, you know, depending on the property. We all want a cash deal because of the speed of it, but with commercial, a lot of times financing is in place just because it's a little easier to get because it's an income producing property. But the great thing about it, in most cases, it doesn't prevent you from assigning the property still. Whereas with residential, it's just not going to happen. You know, you're going to have to do something different to assign a property with financing on a residential property. Whereas commercial, that creativity exists or whatever. The buyer want to get you paid, so they'll make it happen. Now, finding buyers, if you have a deal on the contract, this is why it's important for me to have it off market. Is now I'm going to use commercial brokers to help me find a buyer and give them an incentive to help me find that buyer. All right, but if it's on market, if it's listed with another broker, I can still do that, but they can cause a little trouble for you because some of them are not as friendly to what we do or whatever. More so on the commercial side they are than residential, but that's part of the reason why I personally like for them to be off market, because the first thing they're going to do is just go Google the address. I don't see this listed anywhere, so it's not listed. You got to come through it. It is listed with me. So they so commercial broke, but they'll work with because they want to get paid. They make a lot of money. 2% of $1 million is $20,000. Just like that. So they're going to find a buyer, and they're going to try to find a buyer that's going to pay what you want, because the more that they sell it for, the more that they make. So those are going. So you have a nationwide source of commercial brokers that you can target for your properties, and in the process of doing that, you're also building relationships with those same guys that may also be able to find you a deal, especially if they see you can perform. So it's a double-edged sword. So, and then on future properties, you can go back to some of the same brokers, where that deal may have not worked for one of their clients before. Now this deal will work. So you slowly build a fairly large database of commercial brokers that you build a relationship with for buying and selling. And that can bleed into other parts of the commercial real estate game, beyond multifamily. Wholesalers. Now, they're not, that I'm aware of anyway, there are not a lot of commercial wholesalers out there that I'm aware of. They exist, because one of the guys that really got me going, even though I stumbled into a deal, that's all he was laughing. Yeah, I started out in houses, man, but I did that in 10 years. Because all I've been doing is wholesaling multifamily. He was out of South Florida. And, I've been doing some deals, but he's done some, it just made me feel like an ant. But anyway, so other wholesalers, but what I want to say about that is that some, people like some of you all, Kelly, you all are some self-starters. So even though you've never dealt in that arena before, you just need an understanding, and you know how to go out there and make it happen and find that type of buyer that is some of your actual buyers that you dealt with on the residential side. They're ready to transition over to a multifamily deal, and they have the resources to do it. You know what I'm saying? So like the biggest buyer that I deal with in Birmingham, he's chomping at me to find him something, but he's too particular. I don't know if I ever be able to find him something because he's too particular. Whether he just wants something so safe because he's used to being able to flip houses, and I say, man, you got to come out of that, man. Golly, loosen up. I want to go somewhere I don't have to pull out my gun. Man, stop watching all that stuff on the news, man. These are just regular people, man. So anyway, but they're ready to transition over into the income producing properties, So other wholesalers, even residential wholesalers, can be a source to find buyers for you, especially with the internet, social media. You can put it out there. All right, property managers, where they'll be a little bit more difficult to find a deal, property managers will be a great source because they have those clients and they would love to be able to manage an additional property. They'll have those clients that are currently looking for more properties. So property managers are going to be a source for buyers. All right. Internet, social media. I've been hitting on it all night, in different facets of it. So, you know the game there or whatever. So, all right. So contracts with your buyers. A lot of times they're going to want to do it, but it'll still go back to if you familiarize yourself with putting a contract, whatever contract you're comfortable with as far as commercial, then your contracts with your buyers, you can use that same one if they want you to put together. The only thing you're doing is trading positions, but you're not allowing him to give you 0 up front, and then the earnest money after the 45 days. You want that 50K up front. So if your earnest money is 25K, you actually want your buyer to put up more than that. And so it may be, you say make 25, you may tell them to do 35 or whatever. You just want to do that or whatever. Number one is going to make it a little bit sweeter for your buyer your seller, because you may need more time. And I forgot to tell you about the LOI. I'm gonna actually put that clause in there that I can put up additional 10,000, using that as the number to get another 15 days of due diligence, because you may find your buyer with 30 or with 15 days left on your due diligence. So you'll make your buyer put up that additional money to get that additional time or whatever. So that's an option. That's the main reason why you get them to put up more. All right. So closings, the buyer is normally going to dictate that. Whereas houses, you can have some say so in that. I hadn't had one of these deals to close yet that the buyer hadn't dictated. So the only thing you're going to do is they present both contracts and what I call a closing detail sheet, which is going to detail who's the buyer, who's the seller, the price of the property, what my assignment fee is, and who's paying how the closing costs is that. On commercial, whereas residential, you can get the buyer to pay all closing. In most cases on commercial, they're going to split it in some form and fashion, and some of it may come back from you or whatever, which is fine, depending on how much money you work or making. So I'm always comfortable with paying a portion of the closing cost to make the deal work. I'm not going to let $2,500 keep me from making $37,000. You see what I'm saying? I may have made $39,500 or whatever. So I'll eat that. That's the way I look at it. Just cost of doing business. All right, so some people like to do assignments and double close. The only double close I've ever done was by mistake, and they waived the fee, because that ain't what I told them to do. So that's going to be up to you on how you do a double close. Most people, they say, well, I don't want the buyer to know how much I'm making. I don't want the seller to know how I'm making. I've had all the deals I've done. I've been doing this 14 years. I've done a lot of deals. I had one seller to clown because of how much money we were going to make. And the reason she clowned, she had no right to clown, is because it took 6 months to do this deal. This is on a house deal. And I bought one of my friends in. He can sell dirt to an ant. He talked her down from $100,000 to $50,000. And she inherited the property, and it was a 4,600 square foot house. She was using the house as storage. When you walked in the house, you couldn't even see the floor because clothes were all the way throughout the entire house. You couldn't even see the floor. She was just using it. And it's not like she had the clothes in there folded up. They were just thrown in there. But it wasn't really nasty. There were clothes everywhere. It was crazy. And so her parents left her that house. It was worth about $150,000. Her parents left her that house with no debt on it. She went out and got a $25,000 equity line of credit on that house and couldn't pay the bill. Called me, and again, my friend talked her down. He had the great, this was before 2008, 2009. He had the great idea we were going to cash it out by finding a buyer that wants to live there. And that is difficult. Especially it was difficult in that neighborhood. It was hard to get someone to pay that much money in that. I don't know if they have a neighborhood like that here in Huntsville, but this neighborhood really is in quote unquote a D neighborhood or the hood or whatever you want to call it. And but this couple of streets, the houses are like 150, where all the other houses around are 60. And so it takes a really special buyer to buy those few blocks. And so we were trying to find it. We couldn't get nobody qualified. You know what I'm saying? Even back then, because their income couldn't match up to what we were trying. We were trying to sell it. We had a contract for from 50. We were trying to sell it for 150. We gotta get it quiet. So we went through that for 6 months. He ain't know nothing about real estate. I don't know why I was dealing with him on that level. I didn't know anything about real estate. And so, in that time frame, he was giving her money, but he was subtracting it from the $25,000 she was going to get at closing. You know, because she had the $25,000 debt. We had in the contract with 50, so they left 25. So when it all said and done, at closing, she only got, and plus the fees, that because she's back payment, she only got $8,000. My check was like 12 something, but my friend's check was like over 20 something. Because he got all his money back from what he had been giving her over that 6 months. Because he let me finally just took the deal over. Took me 2 weeks to find a buyer and close on it. Pay 80 grand for it. Right. And so, anyway, so when I got to the closing, the closing attorney made a special concession for us to close at 5 p.m. And because he closed at that time, but I did so many deals with her. And she was sitting there just red hot because she hadn't seen the HUD statement, and she seen $8,000 to her and 12 to Tyrone Taylor and whatever the number to Eric Nation. And and so when she got, Tyrone, this just ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. Y'all ain't gonna make more than that. I mean, Miss Brown, Eric has been giving you money the entire time or whatever. I know it, but this just ain't right. Y'all shouldn't be getting more than me. And so I looked at the attorney and said, Tyrone, what are you going to do? I said, well, I guess we'll come back Monday. I guess we'll go in and change the paperwork and, you shouldn't get some of my money or whatever like that. He said, no, we're not going to do that. I already made concessions for you to close it at, after hours. And if we don't close it now with the current paperwork, it'll be Monday. She was not leaving there without a check. So we closed it. Instead of her just waiting 2 more days and I was going to give her $5,000 of mine, she was not going to leave there without that $8 grand. So, what she should have did just said, all right, Tyrone, we're going to close this. You meet me at the bank and give me that $5,000. I would have did that. Or whatever she ain't saying so. But it wasn't bad. She had already got her money over that 6 month period, just had spent it. But anyway, so that's my Miss Brown story. So that was the only time. But the point I made that story, I got off track. The reason I even brought that story up is that most sellers and buyers don't care. They know you're not doing it for free or whatever. And if a buyer's tripping about how much money I want to make, I don't want to deal with them. I'm not doing this. We agreed on a price. You're getting what you wanted out of the deal. Why are you mad that I made X number of dollars? With the seller, no, they just not going. They don't care. They don't know what's going on for real. So they don't care. Everybody's happy on closing. My experience with real estate, everybody happy on closing day. Sellers happy, buyers happy, the closing attorneys or title companies happy, and I know I'm happy. So that's my experience, and for the most part, or whatever. So payday, obviously, that speaks for itself, so I think that's it, ain't it? Yeah, so everybody know about that and go on to the next slide, whatever we got. If you know how to reach me on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube or whatever, so we can go for questions. So
we'll take
a break?
No, we'll take a few questions.
Oh, okay.
Because we have to actually get out of here. Are you gotta get back on the road very soon?
I'm gonna probably get it over. So.
Can you go out to dinner?
Yeah, I can do it.
So anybody that's open, because we'll take a few questions, but since he's just agreed to go out to dinner, we'll go to Bar Louie after this, and then you all can we can just chat and ask more questions after this. But we have to get out of this space, so I want to just take maybe 3 questions, and then we'll end the session and head over to Bar Louie for who anyone is interested. Anybody have any questions? Come on. Okay. Go ahead.
When you were talking about the mom and pop situation, and they're not keeping really good records of their rents,
income expenses,
and all of that. I'm trying to figure out how do you really convey that to somebody who's purchasing the property, because most been in that situation before, and they're like, I need P&Ls, I need rent rolls, I need this, I need that.
Yeah.
I can't do it without this, but they're a solid buyer.
You know what? I didn't include rent rolls in that deal. I don't know what I was thinking, but oh my God, that's a huge part of it. But you got to get rent rolls too, guys. That's basically saying who lives in this apartment, what they're paying, do they have a deposit on display. But to answer your question is, you take their information, the rents they're gonna probably know. If they don't know anything else, they're gonna know how much rent they're collecting. All right, from there, you're just gonna have to make assumptions on expenses. Generally expenses on apartments are 40 to 50%. Sometimes they're a lot lower because of smaller units, but you're just gonna assume 40 to 50%. So if they don't have no, I'm gonna go with 50%. Sometimes 55%, and that's what I'm gonna base my offer on. So they can produce real numbers. You know what I'm saying? So the income we can probably come up with, what they're getting as far as rent. All right, but the expenses, I'm just gonna automatically go with 55%. And that's how I'm gonna explain to my buyer, this is the deal, man. So we're basing the numbers and the offer and the way I'm presenting it to you off of 55% expenses. Normally it's gonna create a great deal. That's the owner agreed to the bottom line price after you calculate cap rates and NOI and all that stuff. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, I just have to impress me that I need P&Ls, I need rent rolls, I need
Yeah, that's gonna be.
And most time I just have to walk away from it because I can't.
It's not, the mom and pop's gonna be tough, But you gotta get them cheap. It's like almost having a burnout. You know what I'm saying? When they can't produce income, they can make up anything. Yeah. Well, they can always make up anything, but you know what I'm saying? At least make it up so we can see it in printed form. You know what I'm saying? And so, but anyway.
Also, the sellers will they be represented by a broker?
The way that I normally target them, no, I'm gonna probably say 60-40. So because you can reach out to brokers and see if they have any pocket listings or off market, because they'll know sometimes the situations of clients that they've dealt with in the past that they know they want to sell, but they don't actively want to advertise. Nothing prevents you from targeting properties that are advertised. I just went through why I don't do it.
Well, even the mom and pops, are they going to be represented by a broker? No.
Because brokers are going to make them get them numbers in some form of fashion. So they know what they're going to have to go through. Brokers are going to, if a broker is represented by a mom and pop, most of the time they're going to come up with something. They're just knowing how it goes. Because brokers know the people that they're going to target to buy it, they're going to want those numbers or whatever. So
how often do you deal with a broker?
On what, on multifamily?
Yeah.
For me, not that often.
Okay.
Not for multifamily.
You said something about like you can do the deal a lot of times you got mortgage or debt.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't really go into detail about how you.
Well, what I meant by that is that sometimes the debt will allow the deal not to make sense, just because they over leverage, with a mortgage. But depending on their level of motivation, that's where some creative financing may come in, similar to what you would do with a house. They may do an option on it or whatever, where you basically take over the payments. You hopefully the income from the property will allow it to pay the existing mortgage on the property. But that's where it probably really needs to be a value add opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And that'll make it more attractive. See, anytime you can put owner financing in place, a cash buyer is really interested in that, because now they got to jump through the hoops of a lender or whatever, and they may put up a little money to take over, but they probably won't want a value add opportunity, and then at some point they'll cash the owner out of it.
What is a good source for proof of funds?
Well, the ones that I use and that I recommend, I'm an affiliate of them, is you can go to realpof.com. You'll see my mug first, and then the guy that actually runs it, he'll tell you how it works. realpof.com.
Any more questions? I know we said 3, but any more questions? Okay, go ahead.
Commercial buildings, how does that differ from That's different.
Oh, that's a whole different
Yeah,
subject.
That's another, yeah, that's another.
Are you getting back on the road right now? You need to come to Bar Louis for that one.
Yeah,
He talked to me about that one. That's why I was like, that's a whole
That's
different.
another animal. Yeah, that's a long answer.
What is your offer based off of, so once you figure out your NOI, your cap rates, you know?
I like to try to get stuff over 10% minimum
Okay.
in most cases.
Gotcha.
If I can get higher, I'm gonna try to get higher. My initial offer is probably gonna be around 12% cap rate. I can break it down for you, once we go to the place. That's where I'm gonna start.
All right, great. Thank you so much.